I too will ring my bell. Ring my bell. Sorry. Good morning. It's so good to be together and to see so many of you here for today, which will be a very fun Sunday. You don't have books to carry or anything you have to think about. You just get to be here and be in this room and be in the Spirit together. We'll begin with our centering thought. These are words from Alondra Williams. You are the visionary. You are the hope. You are our ancestors' dreams. We are so happy to have Matt Meyer with us today. Matt is a lifelong UU. He has with a long background in musician and worship leader. Matt lives in Boston and travels as an itinerant worship leader, bringing the good news of Unitarian Universalism to hundreds of congregations all over the country. I think I've worked with Matt at least every year of my 20 years in ministry, and I'm so glad he's here. He serves as the Director of Operations for Sanctuary Boston, a contemporary UU worship community that centers music and ritual. Sanctuary Boston's worship band just released an album of original UU music that is available on the table after worship, as is Matt's book, Desmond Gets Free, which is a very precious book. If you have grandchildren, it's a wonderful gift. We are having a diaper collection, and it is starting on Father's Day, which is appropriate because fathers make babies. Wherever you are in your journey in life, we welcome you in this place. Whatever you believe, we welcome you in this place. We are glad you came. We will now begin our morning worship.
Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. We'll light our chalice this morning, again with these words from Alandria, a longtime friend and mentor of mine who passed on in 2020. We are worthy, not because of what we produce, but because of who we are. We are divine bodies of light and darkness. You are the visionary. You are the hope. You are our ancestors' dreams. We also light a candle for the green sanctuary, remembering our covenant to the earth.
Okay.
I invite you to join in the affirmation of our covenant, which begins with the word love. Love is the spirit of our fellowship, and service is our law.
This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
In my congregation of Sanctuary, we meet on Wednesday evenings, and we have a saying, which is we're going to start with some singing, and we're going to end with singing. And in the middle, mostly what we're going to do is some singing. That will be true for our opening hymn, which is also our opening words. Today's service is about looking back as we move forward, claiming our past as we find our way forward through uncertainty. So we'll begin with a calling in of the ancestors. The song that I'll invite you to join me on goes like this. I have not come here alone. I carry my people in my bones. I have not come here alone. If you listen, you can hear them in my soul. Let's try that together. Here we go. I have not come here alone. I carry my people in my bones. I have not come here alone. If you listen, you can hear them in my soul. Now, for all of our singing this morning, I invite you to do it in whatever way your spirit needs. If the words elude you and you want to just hum along, that's okay. That's just as good. And if what you need this morning is to not sing at all, but to just sit in silence and soak in the sound of the room, that is okay too. That is just as good. And if what you need this morning is to try out some new harmonies and rock it out like you're alone in the car with your radio, this is your morning to do it. Let's sing again. Here we go. I have not come here alone. I carry my people in my bones. I have not come here alone. If you listen, you can hear them in my soul. One more time. I have not come here alone. I carry my people in my bones. I have not come here alone. If you listen, you can hear them in my soul.
You are the visionary. You are the hope. You are the ancestors of the dreams. What? Oh. In 1870, Julia Ward Howe reimagined Mother's Day as a call for peace. Her Mother's Day proclamation declared, "Arise, all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be that of water or tears. Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for carcasses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs."
On this day, celebrating all of those who nurture. On this day, celebrating unconditional love. Let us lift up the names of some of the women who have worked for a more peaceful and just world in our own Unitarian Universalist tradition. We invite their spirits to be with us here this morning in this room as we gather.
Julia Ward Howe, Olympia Brown,
Frances Harper, Susan B. Anthony,
Lucy Stone, Margaret Fuller,
Clara Barton and Sophia Foz,
Viola Luizo, Dorothea Dix,
Margaret Mosley, Marjorie Bowens Wheatley,
Eliandra Williams, Natalie Fenmore.
I have not come here alone. I have not come here alone. I carry my people in my bones. I have not come here alone. If you listen, you can hear them in my soul.
You are the visionary. You are the hope. You are the ancestors' dreams.
On this Mother's Day, we honor those who centered love and lived for compassion, transforming the world in ways large and small. These people we name spoke truth to power. They organized their communities and they transformed societies.
And let us honor the personal legacies of care in our own lives. We invite the spirits and names of ancestors who cultivated compassion and practiced unconditional love in your life, or whatever gender, whether they are ancestors of a family of choice, mentors, whether you shared a home or never quite met. We invite you to call their names forward and call the names of those who've passed on, but in their time on earth nurtured you with unconditional love. Sheila Weaver.
Ellen Donnelly. Ruth Hubbard. Ruth Titus. Lucille Reese. Eileen Allison. Mary Lou McClellan. Emma Jean Wilder. Winifred Bennett. Cohen Johnson. Christine Judge. Augustine. Ruth Madison. Connie Burgess. Sala. Stella. Valerie Getz. Kate Brown. Marie Michelle. Agnes Van Shippen.
For all those names spoken and still unspoken, let us recognize that these ancestors have shaped us, have shaped our world, and may their memory be a blessing.
I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing, I have not come here alone. I have not come here alone. I carry my people in my bones. I have not come here alone. If you listen, you can hear them in my soul. A little louder. I have not come here alone. I carry my people in my bones. I have not come here alone. If you listen, you can hear them in my soul. One more time. I have not come here alone. I carry my people in my bones. I have not come here alone. If you listen, you can hear them in my soul. Let's take a deep breath. You may be seated as you exhale. As I said, this is a service today about looking back, about claiming our ancestors, claiming our histories as we find ways forward into an uncertain future. That looking back can be about the large things, it can be about the small things, the political and the personal, the good and the bad. We carry it all with us in some way. And so I have just the story for you. Miriam was just about to begin the 4th grade, and she was pumped because 4th grade was the year at her school that all of the students got to learn to play an instrument and play in the school orchestra. Did any of you ever play in the school band orchestra? Oh, we have a whole bunch of band nerds here. I love it. So on the first day, she was so thrilled. She showed up extra early, and she walked into that orchestra room and looked around at all of the instruments, wondering which one she would get to learn. There was a giant bass drum, beautiful violins, shiny brass trumpets. She saw her teacher, Miss Berman, there, and she said, "Here I am. What instrument do you need me to play?" And Miss Berman looked at her and said, "Miriam, right? I think I have just the instrument for you." And she disappeared into her office, and she came back a minute later with a tambourine. Some of you read the title of the story. Or the Bible. "A tambourine," she said. "Well, is that even an instrument, though?" "Of course," said Miss Berman. "Every great orchestra needs a great tambourine player, and you are our tambourine player." Well, Miriam took the tambourine, but for the whole rehearsal, all day long, she had to play the same rhythm over and over. It went like this. It went dot, 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 dot. Can you try that? When she came back the next day, the whole rehearsal all day long, it was that same rhythm again. It went. And the whole rest of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, over and over again, it was that same rhythm. It went. You might have guessed she was not any more excited about the tambourine at the end of the week than she had been at the beginning. And so when she went to her Unitarian church that Sunday, she was feeling pretty sad about it. She sat down in her Sunday school class, and her teacher, Mahesh, noticed that she was looking down. He asked her what was up, and she said, "I was so excited to start the 4th grade and to learn to play an instrument and to play in the school orchestra. And I ended up getting stuck with the tambourine, and I just play the same rhythm all week long. It goes." "Tambourine," Mahesh said. He said, "Did you know that where my family comes from in southern India, we call the tambourine a kanjira." Can you say kanjira? Kanjira. He said, "It's an incredibly complicated instrument, and people spend their whole lives learning to master the kanjira. And one of the beautiful things about it is every note you play on the kanjira, you can sing. And so musicians teach students to play it by singing the rhythms to them. Takita-tum, kuta-dengi, na-tum-tum, ta-tum, takita-tum." People write whole poems out of the rhythms of the kanjira. Whole books of poetry, in fact, of its rhythms. Where I come from, the tambourine is a way of creating poetry and creating, beauty in the world. "Poetry and beauty," Miriam said. Can you say poetry and beauty? Poetry and beauty. That doesn't sound so bad. So she thought about that after church when all the adults were running around at coffee hour. Miriam sat by herself, and a family friend, Anna, came and sat with her. Anna remembered. She said, "How has your first week of school been? Are you playing an instrument? Are you in the orchestra? How's it going?" And she said, "Well, I am, but I got stuck with the tambourine, and I just play the same rhythm all week long. It goes." "Tambourine," Anna said. She said, "Did you know that where my family comes from in Brazil, we call the tambourine a pandeiro?" Can you say that? Pandeiro. People have been playing the pandeiro for generations and generations in Brazil. And in fact, she said, when my ancestors came to Brazil as enslaved people, they would play the pandeiro as a way to gather their community together, to sing and dance and be good to each other, even when times were so hard. And they would even use the music of the pandeiro to secretly practice martial arts, to protect themselves against the people that held them as slaves. Where I come from, the tambourine, it's an instrument for safety and for community. Safety and community, Miriam said. Can you say safety and community? Safety and community. Well, that doesn't sound so bad. So Miriam was thinking about all of this when she went back to school the next day. She saw her teacher, Miss Berman, there, and she told her about the kanjira and the pandero, about poetry and beauty and safety and community. But she said, I don't know what any of that has to do with me because I'm still playing the same rhythm all week long that goes, you got it. Well, Miss Berman said, Miriam, do you know where your name comes from? She said, of course. It comes from my parents. Well, right, she said, but do you know where that name comes from before your parents? She said, in your family's history, there's an ancient story of the Israelites fleeing slavery in Egypt. And when they were finally on their way to the promised land, they had a huge celebration to celebrate the journey towards freedom that they were making. And it was a woman named Miriam with a tambourine that got that celebration started. And women like Miriam all throughout the Middle East in ancient times would play the tambourine for weddings and festivals and celebrations. Anytime people came together to celebrate the spirit, to celebrate their community, to celebrate love. In your family's history, the tambourine is a way of celebrating that journey towards love and towards freedom. Love and freedom, Miriam said. Can you say love and freedom?
Love and freedom.
Well, that sounds pretty good. Miriam went on to try out some of the other instruments in the orchestra. She played that bass drum for a little bit, and she took some violin lessons and played trumpet for a while. But she always remembered this story of the tambourine, how all around the world and all throughout history, people had taken the most simple of instruments that they had in their hands, the most basic possible tools, and they found ways to use them to shape the world around them, to create poetry and beauty, to create safety and community, and to celebrate the journey we're all trying to make towards love and towards freedom. As Unitarian Universalists, we come together on Sunday mornings not just to remind each other about the values that are most important to us, but to think together, to strategize together, and sometimes even challenge each other, to think of how we can use whatever tools we might have in our hands to make the world a better place, to work together to create the kind of world that we want to live in together. Remembering our ancestors, remembering those who transformed the world before us as we imagine new possibilities together. May it be so, dear ones, and may we make it so.
As a community, we offer our lives to one another, sharing our burdens. We hope our burdens are lightened. Sharing our sorrows, we hope our sorrows are cared for by others. And as we share our joys and our delights, we hope they are heightened. As the music plays, those present in the congregation wishing to express a joy or a sorrow are invited to come forward and place a rock in the water to symbolize your feelings. And those on the Zoom chat are welcome to write their joys and sorrows in the chat. We will now begin.
We were all born infinitely whole. 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 We are each of us. We are each of us enough. We are each of us complete. We are each of us enough, just exactly as we are. We are each of us enough. We are each of us complete. We are each of us enough, just exactly as we are. We were all infinitely whole. We were all born infinitely whole. We were all, we are each of us enough. We are each of us complete. We are each of us enough, just exactly as we are. We were all born infinitely whole. We were all born infinitely whole. We were all born infinitely whole. We're all born infinitely whole. We were all, we are each of us enough. We are each of us complete. We are each of us enough, just exactly as we are.
We have on Zoom 3 ancestors that should be called out: Marjorie, Marie, and Teresa. And otherwise, we have joys. Pam Marone says that the U.S. Postal Service collected food for the Falmouth Service Center yesterday. They collected more than 3,000 pounds of food. It is a joy to live with such generosity. And we have a joy. Her family wishes to wish Margaret Cooper a very happy 95th birthday.
Can we sing her happy birthday? Let's sing Margaret happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Margaret. Happy birthday to you. And I think we also have to wish Judy Andrade a happy... Alden. Also 95. Judy Alden, I'm sorry I get the A's mixed up. Judy Andrade is nowhere close to 95. But Judy Alden did turn 95 this week, and she looks like she's not 95. So to all our young 95-year-olds, happy birthday.
There's one more joy.
Oh, good.
From Phil Smith: I am so lucky to be married to Betsy Wilder.
Oh, and yes, you are. For all, well, it's Mother's Day, on Father's Day maybe. For all the joys and concerns still unspoken, let us breathe in peace and breathe out love. Let us pray. Spirit of life, of beauty, truth, and good that lives in every living thing. Grant us the gentle awakening to see the world as it truly is. Help us to roll away the stones of our habits and of our indifference, helping us to rise into a deeper awareness of our purpose, our collective spirit, rousing itself so that this community shines with the clarity of the morning light. We ask that you guide us to the thresholds where the world is waiting, as we prepare a place for the stranger, for the seeker. Draw to us a vibrant tapestry of people, diverse in every way we can imagine, and all the ways we cannot imagine. Help us to open our eyes, our doors, our hearts with curiosity and caring. May we be fully present to share our space, our resources, our hands in service to a wider circle of life. May the life that lives in each of us, the life that crosses every sea and breaks through every darkness, bind us to the whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. And now let us move from the words of my mouth to your meditations of your hearts. With every inhale, I invite you to feel the sensation of rising, waking up to the present moment. And with every exhale, I invite you to feel the walls of this room expanding as you move in greater freedom. Breathing in, let us awaken. Breathing out, let us expand.
Amen, and blessed be. We were all born infinitely whole. We invite you to sing with us. We were all born infinitely whole. We were all born infinitely whole. Keep going. We were all born infinitely whole. We were all born infinitely whole. Keep going. We were all, we are each of us enough. We are each of us complete. We are each of us enough. Just exactly as we are, we were all born. Each of us enough. We are each of us complete. We are each of us enough. Just exactly as we are.
And now is time for our offering. We know that all the financial gifts to this fellowship come from sacrifice and hard work, and for this we are infinitely grateful. We also know that not all gifts you give to this fellowship are financial. All the ways that you contribute to this fellowship are welcomed and appreciated, and we are grateful for them at this time in our service. Thank you.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round attendees, We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves to the light. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round, attend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. It's finicky like that. Our next hymn is a practice in looking back as we move forward. And this is a song and an arrangement from my congregation's album that we released this year. And it's mostly new music that we created for this album, but I also love that there's some old favorite hymns that we've reimagined in new ways. So we're going to have Matt, our soloist, and the choir start us off, and then I'll teach you your part for this old hymn, Bright Morning Star, one that I'm sure is familiar to you, although we're going to sing it with new words and a new melody. Although it's the same hymn, I assure you. Your part goes like this. Bright morning stars are rising, bright morning stars are rising, bright morning stars are rising. Day is a breaking in my soul. Let's try that. Bright morning stars are rising, bright morning stars are rising, bright morning stars are rising. Day is a breaking in my soul. I think you got it. Let's rise in body or spirit. Here we go like you mean it this time. Bright morning stars are rising, bright morning stars are rising, bright morning stars are rising. Day is a breaking in my soul. Rise up from morning slumber. Rise up from morning slumber, rise up from morning slumber, rise up from morning slumber. Day is a breaking in my. Rise up and hear your calling. Rise up and hear your call. Rise up and hear your calling. Rise up and hear your calling. Day is a breaking in my soul. Bright morning star, here we go. Bright morning stars. Morning stars arising. Day is a breaking in my soul. Oh, lift your voice to heaven. 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 Day is a breaking in my soul. We'll build this faith together. Here we go. We'll build this faith together. We'll build this faith together. We'll build this faith together. Day is a breaking in my soul. Bright morning star, bright morning stars arising, bright morning stars arising, bright morning stars arising. Day is a breaking in my soul. Day is a breaking in harmony. Day is a breaking in my soul. Day is a breaking. Day is a breaking in my soul. Last time slowly in at least 11-part harmony. Day is a breaking. While studying Spanish in Mexico recently, I read a story there on the nightstand of the Airbnb, an old Mexican legend about the hills that surround the city there, the city of Guanajuato. The story says that a shepherd attending his flock out in the wilderness heard the voice of a woman calling to him. He followed the sound and found her, or maybe her spirit, trapped in the boulders of the mountain. She pleaded with him to bring her back to town. And she said that bringing her back would not only break the enchantment that had trapped her, but she promised to show him a hidden city of untold riches when they arrived. The promise of these riches, and perhaps the fact that the story mentions she was wearing a, quote, translucent nightgown. Those new words in Spanish for me. This was all the convincing the young man needed. He picked her up in her arms and began to carry her, but she warned, no matter what, he must not look behind him as they ran back to the city. And as he ran with her in his arms, he began to hear odd sounds behind him, the sounds of monsters even. Eventually, he felt the touch of something on his shoulder, and that was it. He turned to look. And both he and the woman were turned to stone and became two of the hills that now look over the city. This is a wild story, but what on earth is the lesson here? I can only imagine a parent reading this story to a child, only to get to the end, to tell them, well, Junior, that's why you should never doubt, not even for a moment, strangers you meet in the wilderness. I myself closed this book at the end and wished out loud that it had been the kind of good story that would make for a good sermon. But I was also surprised at how much it reminded me of other stories from far away places. I thought of Orpheus in Greek mythology, who was allowed to bring his beloved Eurydice back from Hades and the underworld back to the living world of daylight, as long as he never turned backwards to see if she was still there behind him. I thought of Lot and his wife in the book of Genesis fleeing the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. They are told not to look back. But as fire and brimstone are raining down on the city, Lot's wife, I think understandably, turns to look and is instantly transformed to a pillar of salt. The story of punishment for looking back to where we came from seems more universal than I had realized. It seems an odd message, particularly for Scripture, since religious traditions are famous for their, well, traditions, which are by definition acts of remembering. Sometimes these stories are about external dangers. Sometimes they are about our most tender internal wounds. The version of the story that was assigned to me in high school, and maybe to some of you, was Charles Dickens' Great Expectations. I read the Cliff Notes. The story revolves around Miss Havisham, so the Cliff Notes say, who was abandoned at the altar and has been stuck in time ever since. Years later, she is still wearing her wedding dress every day, and a wedding cake still sits on the table. She hasn't been turned into stone or to salt, but she may as well have been. She is perpetually living in the moment of her deepest loss. This story gets told and retold, whether the thing behind you is large or small, good or bad, personal or political. If you look behind you, you will never move forward. If you remember your past, you will be stuck in it. This fear of being frozen in time is real. We know that past trauma in particular lives in the body and in the brain, sometimes forever. I remember the first week of my internship at a hospital in Boston as a chaplain. Before we had begun to visit patients, we had just a few days of preparation in the classroom, and we were terrified. I remember our supervisor noticed our nervousness, obviously, and asked at one point what exactly we were afraid of. Someone responded, "What if I'm meeting with a patient and I start crying?" "Yes," our teacher said. "What then?" "Well, what if I can't stop?" "Yes," another person added, "what if I freeze and I can't even speak or move?" This was it. This was the fear we had been circling around for days. What if the grief is too much and I am utterly petrified by it? And I realized in that question, in that moment, in that classroom, that so many of the times in my life when I have held back tears, it was because there was some fear inside that told me if I face this pain, I will never get to the other side of it. I will be petrified there. So often we struggle to remember the way we are feeling now is not how we will always feel. This is even true when I'm sick with a cold or the flu. It only takes about 6 hours of being sick before I completely forget what it was like to have ever been healthy. And when I'm healthy, I can remember the idea of feeling unwell, but I cannot for the life of me remember the feeling. And this is so much more true for the extremes of emotion. The times that I've experienced the biggest losses in my own life, the hardest part wasn't just the grief, but it was the fear that my grief was my new permanent state, that I would feel like this forever. Miss Havisham is living out that worst fear, that if we turn to face trauma, if we look back even for a moment, we may be turned to stone there. In recent years, though, thank goodness, counselors and grief professionals have recognized that ignoring big emotions is not surprise the way to move forward. Modern understandings of grief and loss all recognize that the memory of a loved one, that remembering our past, even the hard parts, it's like a thread that can be woven into the expanding fabric of our colorful lives. When a loved one has joined the ancestors, we integrate the loss and the memory, and we continue to grow. There is such a thing as post-traumatic stress, of course, and there is also such a thing as post-traumatic growth. Psychologists recognize post-traumatic growth. They understand that resilience is being not too overly affected by difficult things, But post-traumatic growth is different. It's what happens when we are overly affected, when we face the most difficult things directly and wrestle with them and eventually find a way forward, perhaps to a new understanding of ourselves or of the world. Growth is possible, and we can move forward even as we look back. Naming our history honestly, looking back as we move forward, honoring our ancestors and their legacy of adaptation is part of how we find our way forward. And these are all part of the process of personal transformation, one of our newly articulated Unitarian Universalist values. In the 1600s, Johannes Hofer noticed that some people living far from home, particularly soldiers, sometimes experience an emotional burden of being away from home that was so great that they became psychologically incapacitated or even physically ill, petrified. He came up with a word for this medical condition that was so dire, a diagnosis called nostalgia. Sometimes it seems like emotions in general were considered a defect by white people in the olden days, and this is one of the best examples I have read. It was mostly soldiers at war who were diagnosed with nostalgia, and the recommendations really exemplified a don't look behind you attitude. In Europe, one prominent physician prescribed, quote, pain and terror as the cure. In the United States, the professional consensus was a prescription to mock them ruthlessly and shame it out of them. And Swiss soldiers, even before that, who were likely to fall ill with nostalgia, well, it was found that they were particularly susceptible to this disease when they heard a particular Swiss milking song. And so the song was outlawed, which was punishable by death. The word gaslighting means to lie to someone about what is real in an effort to convince them that they are going insane. And the word is much overused these days, I think. But was there ever a greater case of gaslighting than doctors conspiring with generals to diagnose soldiers who would rather be home singing songs with their family and milking cows than under gunfire in a war-torn foreign land? I hope it goes without saying that it is almost always better for both our physical and mental health to be home with one's family singing than to be shooting at people or being shot at. Julia Ward Howe in her Mother's Day proclamation would agree. Other wisdom traditions, though, know the value of looking back, of claiming our history. In West Africa, among the Aden people, the Sankofa is a revered symbol of a bird moving forward while turning to look behind, sometimes carrying an egg in its mouth. The wisdom of the Sankofa among the Aden people says it is not wrong to fetch what is at risk of being left behind. Not only is the Sankofa bird going back for something valuable, it's reaching for an egg, a future bird. By looking backward, it carries the future itself. There's also a West African legend among the same people, the legend of Anansi, a mythical spider that wins all of the world's stories from the sky god by completing impossible tasks. Before that, the stories all belonged to the sky god, meaning that the past was inaccessible. By bringing stories down to earth, this mythical spider gives humanity the ability to remember collectively. I love that the story of this spider is a story about the value of stories, remembering the importance of remembering. And we know that the Passover Seder among our Jewish siblings is an annual Jewish tradition structured around remembering. Every year for thousands of years now, the Jewish people tell the story of Miriam and other characters. They retell it and reenact it, a practice of post-traumatic growth, looking back as we move forward. And this is certainly true for the story of the shepherd and Lot's wife even. In both these cases, the lesson of the stories might be about not looking behind you, but the telling of the stories is itself a remembering. There is certainly some wisdom in the don't look back stories. There is a difference between remembering and ruminating. Claiming our histories can be empowering, but living in our histories cannot. These stories remind us not to ruminate, and the telling of the stories reminds us to remember. What we do know is that there is value in looking back. There is strength in remembering our ancestors. There is resilience in the legacies of care and nurture that have shaped us. There is blessing in remembering loved ones who have joined the ancestors. And in looking back, whether to our sorrows or celebrations, whether to our grief or gratitude, we can find healing and wholeness moving forward. We come from a people, we come from a place, we inherit a culture, and we honor our traditions. I love that our earlier reading from Elandria William calls out, "You are the visionary, you are the hope." And Elandria grounds hope and vision in the past, in the spirit of Sankofa, saying, "You are our ancestors' dreams." May we honor the ancestors who shaped the world we live in today. May we celebrate those that nurtured us, whether of family, of birth, or of choice. We are all in some ways the legacies of care and compassion. We are all in some ways the living legacies of pain and loss. We are all finding our way forward in uncertain times and grounded in the past from which we come. You are the visionary. You are the hope. You are our ancestors' dreams. May it be so. Our closing song comes to us from Emma's Revolution. We're going to keep on moving forward, never turning back. It goes like this. Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Let's try that together. Here we go. Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. I invite you to rise in body or spirit. Here we go. Keep on moving forward. Going to keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Keep on singing loudly. Going to keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Keep on loving boldly. Gonna keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Keep on moving forward. Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Keep on singing loudly. Gonna keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Keep on loving boldly. Gonna keep on loving boldly. all loving holy, all loving holy, never turning back, never turning back, never turning back, never turning back, never turning back. As we extinguish the chalice, may you go in love, go in peace, and go and be blessed as you are a blessing to others. You can help me with some rhythm. Here we go. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Here we go. Da 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 da. 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 Da 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 da. Go in peace.